Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 32 of the Brother Sister Show. I am Anthony, and I'm joined here with two people. One of them you already know, another you don't. So I'll just kick it over to the person you do know.
I'm Livia. And today we're going to try something a little different. We do have a guest, Jaytee. Do you want me to address you as Jaytee? I know you have many names.
It's Mr. Tyler.
Mr. Joshua Tyler. I'm going to say your entire name. Jaytee is with us, my best friend. He's going to join us for the entire episode. We've reserved this just for you. And we decided to do it like 2 minutes ago, so if it doesn't go well, then...
It is what it is.
All right, so do you want to just give a little intro of yourself? What do you do? How are you doing currently?
Yeah. Sure. Was unprepared, but
Well, you can say like, how do we know each other?
Let's
go with that story.
Okay. So we met in high school, maybe like 9th or 10th grade. Ugh, the two legit crew.
Oh.
That's what we called ourselves.
Oh,
we had little wristbands and everything. But yeah, it's been like a long time, a very long time. Probably like 10 years, 10 years since we've known each other.
So Sebastian and I have been together for 7 years this year. So longer than that. I would say 10.
Yeah, around that time.
Almost 10.
Yep. So yeah, it's been a fun 10 years. But no, I mean we met in high school. Went off to college. I went to. Do you have to say what school I went to, or is it?
You don't have to. You can say whatever you want about yourself, but.
Oh. Yikes. Well, yeah, I went to Texas A&M, and now I work in Dallas as an accountant. I live a fun life.
Right on.
The coolest accountant you've ever met.
Literally.
Yeah, I don't know any accountants. Is it fun?
Yeah, you do.
It pays the bills.
That's what's up.
It pays the bills. I don't think it's like the funnest thing out there. I'm not 100% passionate about it, but like
it's also different than what people think. Like what you do is different than what I would think an accountant does.
Right. Like when people think accounting, I think the first instinct is to go like taxes. I do taxes for a living. I hate tax. I don't do any sort of taxes, and I rarely do accounting. It's more of like IT stuff. What I do.
It's cool though. It's cool. You get to travel a lot. Well, whenever we could travel.
Yeah, literally. Okay, before this whole COVID thing happened, I had a trip planned to Amsterdam.
I know.
Whoa.
And New Jersey. And Orlando, Florida. All of them got canceled.
I remember when this first started, I was like, man, I can't go to Seattle, but Jaytee can't go do his travel around the fucking world.
Right. It's
wow.
International. I even got a passport for this, but yeah.
Man.
That's rough.
Well, now that you're stuck at home, what have you been watching?
I've been watching a lot of shows, actually. So I finally finished Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu.
Okay.
With Reese and Carrie. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. I'm like 2 or 3 episodes away from finishing 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, yikes.
I know, that's a dumpster fire. I'm just so committed at this point that I can't stop. But I hate it. I hate every second of it.
Dude, I think I told you, but my mom texted me and was like, do you watch... She just calls it 13 Reasons because she's cool. But she said, you watch 13 Reasons? And I said, no, why would I watch that show? And then she said, I hate it. All these kids are stupid. Like something like she was just talking shit about it. And I was like, well, then why are you watching it? And she said, well, I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally me. I am your mom.
No, you and my mom have the same exact taste in shows. I don't know. Whenever she talks to me about like How to Get Away with Murder, I have to like remember if I talk to her about it, if I talk to you about it, because y'all watch the same exact shows.
Ugh. Does she like Riverdale?
She asked me about it. She said, "Is it good?" And I said, "No, please do not watch it."
Yeah, I hate Riverdale.
I don't know if I haven't asked her, but she might have started watching it. It's the kind of
She
show she would.
she's been watching Dexter a
Oh, she
lot.
did tell me
Oh,
about that. Sebastian likes
I
it
don't
too.
know. Sure.
There you go. So you haven't been watching like any movies or anything?
I saw The Lodge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, randomly. Crazy, very crazy. But that's like the last movie I remember seeing, like in theaters when the theaters were open. I saw Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan and I was gonna say Will Smith. Jamie Foxx.
Wow.
Jamie Foxx. Which
That
I
movie made
honestly,
me sob.
it was really sad. It was really sad, but this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not a big fan of Jamie Foxx
That's not
or
popular.
Michael B. Jordan.
That's unpopular.
Yeah. So them
Oh,
together starring
interesting.
in this movie, I was like, ugh. But it's the story that matters, and it was a good story, a very sad one.
And an important story.
Right.
But the book is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Well, straying away from like stressful and sad movies, do you have any comfort movies?
Does horror count? Like horror genre movies?
Yeah,
I
anything that brings
that
you
makes
comfort.
Yeah, that brings me comfort. Um, I sound like a psychopath, but yeah.
Oh, I truly love watching people get murdered.
Yeah.
Like especially the ones like Ready or Not or the ones where it's like an entire family that's like
Yeah.
just like getting taken out one by one.
Which I
I don't know
haven't
why
seen
it's so
that.
cathartic.
I really want to see that.
Ready or Not is you would love it.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's on
that's a
HBO.
comfort right there.
And it's on
Mm.
HBO. You need to watch it like tonight.
So I picked Monsters versus Aliens. I mean,
Well, what's a good horror movie that you love watching?
I was a big Sinister fan.
Oh my God. Do you see it's on Netflix now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I was
so
gonna
good.
rewatch them, but I'm a big Sinister fan. Also, I don't know if this counts, but like in more recent news, I really enjoyed The Platform, minus the end. But The Platform is pretty
Oh,
horror, I guess, kind of
yeah.
gruesome.
Sebastian, I watched it after you told me about it. And I could have done without the gore.
Yeah,
Like not even the gore, just like the grossness of it.
yeah.
Like just the food itself and all the
oh,
too much shitting scenes. One too many.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the platform was, but as soon as you said that, yeah,
Yeah.
uh, that was funny.
It's just like an
Ugh.
interesting story. Like, what?
Yeah.
And I feel like that shit could really happen, but
Honestly, yeah. Was Just Mercy the last movie that you saw in theaters? Because that was our last question that you
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, the last one that I remember was Just Mercy.
That's a good one. I need to watch it.
It's
Oh,
on
it's pretty
Amazon
good.
Prime.
Oh, really?
Oh, I
Hmm.
didn't know
I
that.
gotta do that.
All right, Anthony, what have you been watching?
I've been stuck in Mr. Robot. I can't stop watching it. But
Really?
it's getting pretty like messed up. Like I was watching it last night and I had to just like put it down and I was like, damn, it messed with me. I know you guys haven't watched it, or I don't know if JT if you've seen it, but man, there was this one part where I knew what was gonna happen. I was like, man, this is too much for me right now. Like I spent like pretty much the entire weekend watching it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than Moonlight, uh, Mr. Robot, which has been messing with my mind. So yeah, not a whole lot other than. I mean, there's like movie news that I'm excited for. Mom just told me right now that Michael Keaton's in talks to reprise his role as Batman. Which, why? But also,
Yeah.
I could see. Okay. I could see a couple scenarios where this is gonna go well. I really want. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Batman Beyond,
No.
that story, but there's like it's in the future and there's like Bruce Wayne is an old Batman and he's teaching a new one. I feel like that'd be a good scenario where Michael Keaton would thrive, but I don't know.
I thought it's in a show though.
No, it's in the new Flash.
Oh,
I don't think it's the
movie.
show. I think it's the movie because they're trying to do
Wait.
the multiverse.
Wait, what?
The multiverse. It's like
Isn't there Wait. What Flash? Like just a new Flash?
yeah. I think there is supposed to be one with
Wasn't there already Flash?
not a movie.
Yeah, but isn't there one already? Like there is a Flash, not a movie, but
Ezra Miller.
yeah.
Yeah, there's supposed to
And
be a standalone.
I'm so confused. Why is he coming as Batman when Ben Affleck is already Batman?
That's the whole thing with the multiverse, because there's an infinite amount of universes. There's multiverses, multi Batmans. Does this not?
Why are they wasting their money on this shit? Who is asking for this?
That's what I was saying. I don't know.
Oh. I'm confused. But it reminded me of this one this one tweet that I saved specifically for this, where Oscar Isaac said that he'll only return to Star Wars if he, quote, needs another house or something. Which, I mean, I guess maybe Michael Keaton's struggling. Maybe that's what he needs.
Maybe.
Very stupid. Well, I'm glad you're excited. Did you say you're excited?
I don't know. Well, I'm excited if they do Batman Beyond because I really like that animated series. It's like the Batman who has like the red logo, and it's whatever.
I'm not a nerd. I don't know what this is. Do you watch superhero movies, Jaytee?
So I saw when Batman was played by Ben Affleck. I don't know what that is, but in theaters I saw it and I fell asleep like 5 minutes into the movie.
All
And
right.
I woke up at the end only because Martha apparently it's my mom's
Yeah.
name. So I was like, what the hell is going on? And that was
What did you say?
that's the extent of the superhero movies that I watch.
Honestly, that's everyone's knowledge is what you got.
Yeah.
Their names were Martha. All right, was that all you watched, Anthony?
Yeah, I really want to finish Mr. Robot. That's it.
I watched. So I don't remember. I don't know how I finished an entire show, but I did this week. It was like in 2 days. But do y'all remember that movie Love, Simon?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
So there's a
I
show
haven't seen
called
it though.
the movie or the show.
I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, so the movie is it's okay, and then they decided to make a show with like a different kid named Love Victor. It's like because the movie is with the white boy, and then this one is with the I think he's Mexican, and I don't know. It was okay. The plot or there's like a bunch of like plot twists, and they did it a little bit differently, and I think they're trying to like overcorrect a lot of the criticism of the first movie, like the fact that every story that is told about gay men, it's always like it has to be like a white guy, and so now they're like doing a Mexican guy, and I just feel like some of it is like I don't know. I don't know if it's needed. And also, apparently Disney passed on it because of the fact that it's like about a gay boy, and I was like, why? Like it wasn't even that overt in the movie. Like there's like kissing, and it was just so weird in the show. Like it's still obviously like a not even Riverdale. Riverdale is probably more explicit than this show, but it was just like the show itself was like, who cares? I don't know. But I finished it in one sitting.
How many
Or 2
episodes
sittings.
is it?
I don't even know. I think like maybe 5. I want to say like 8, maybe 8.
Oh, that's short.
And an hour long?
It's short.
I
I
hope
don't
not.
know. I just like turned it on and then I just sat back and
Turned it
watched
off.
it. Let me see. If each episode is like an hour and I watched all of it, I'm gonna be very upset.
And you did this during the. When did you watch this?
Like, I finished it yesterday, but I started watching it maybe Friday. It's 10 episodes, 30 minutes each, so not too long.
So not at all what you said.
No, but are we surprised? And then I watched a documentary. I've been watching a lot of YouTube, so I haven't really watched any movies or anything. But I watched a documentary called Disclosure on Netflix, like recently came out. It's about like the history of transgender representation in Hollywood. And it was I recommend it to, like, I just highly recommend it that everybody watch it because it's very eye-opening. And it doesn't, like, I feel like a lot of us have been doing a lot of self-examining throughout like the past few weeks, and this is one of them that is really important right now because it just goes over transgender people in general, but it does have a lot of like stories of transgender people of color, and I feel like that's a lot of people are highlighting those stories specifically right now. But it is interesting because I didn't know a lot of the stuff that it talks about, just like how media has severely shaped the way we view transgender people and not in a great way, and like just so many, like so much history, and I recommend it because I learned so much, and you kind of like start to check yourself and be like, okay, I like this movie, but now I'm like, ooh, I see how it's kind of problematic. And yeah, because it's one thing to not be represented, but it's another thing to be for that to be represented in a bad light, and for that to result in violence. And um, it's so sad how directly the violence that transgender people, specifically women of color, are like how that the way that they're portrayed in media directly relates to the violence that they're subjected to. It's just like insane. Um, but yeah, I watched that, I think, yesterday.
What was that on?
Netflix,
Oh,
called
okay.
Disclosure.
I'll check it out.
Please do. All right. Anything else? Any other stuff y'all have watched or want to talk about before we get into Moonlight?
I started. I say this. I started watching TikTok,
You started watching TikTok?
and boy, yeah, it was rough.
It's bad.
It's it's rough. And let me just say this: I I'm on Instagram, right? I'm on Twitter. I don't hate the content there. I hate some of the content on TikTok. Like absolutely. I don't I don't know if you guys know this guy. If you've ever seen his videos, but
Oh
essentially
yeah.
he walks into the restroom and he just like tries to get you to like his. It's so stupid. It's the stupidest thing. He's like, say your name 5 times. Now, what's your favorite color? If you said blue, like this TikTok or whatever.
It's like
It,
mind stuff, right? He did get one of mine right though.
it bothers me so much. I have no idea why. And
Well,
I hate that I watched a lot of his though. I watched at least like 15 of his because I was just so mad. I was like, this is stupid. But yeah, there's a bunch of like weird like pockets on TikTok. I watched this like trampoline ring where it's like a rectangle trampoline, and then there's like a huge wall next to it, and they do tricks going on top of the wall, jumping off of the wall. And
oh
there's
yeah.
like some like severe drama with it. It was very weird, but I spent like 3 hours watching, like just dudes doing trampoline tricks.
Just guys
It was
being weird.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Do you have a TikTok, JT?
No, I miss
Don't do it.
Vine. I miss Vine so much.
I know, but TikTok is like I for the longest time I said I wouldn't get one, and then I have one now, and it's so addicting.
I don't get it. Like the like for part 2, I hate those too. Those are
Oh my
stupid.
God. If this blows up, I'm gonna do a story time.
Yeah, and some of them are so obviously like just staged. I saw this one, it
Yeah.
was so stupid, where this guy had a bottle and it was like rusted. He was like, I bought this bottle for $40,000. You'll never believe what was on the inside. And it was just like a roll of paper, and on the inside it said like, I don't know, it said something stupid. I hate the concept on TikTok. I felt so dumb afterwards. Like definitely lost some IQ points after that.
I love it. There's some really funny ones, and I love how you can tell like who they think you are. Like I have a lot of ones in Spanish, and I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know what they're saying, but entertaining. But yeah, I have a lot of movie ones too now. It's interesting how they like start to categorize you, but recommend if you want to be obsessed with an app again. If you miss Vine, JT, then you're going to love TikTok. There's like really bad ones, but there's some that are so funny.
I just don't want to fall into that hole of like
No,
watching videos for 3 hours,
you're
4
going to. There
hours.
was I've spent days doing it. So please don't download it. I fell into the trap and now I can never go back.
That should be their slogan.
Yep.
You're gonna love it, but don't.
It's gonna be the best thing that ever happened to you, but stop. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Moonlight came out in 2016. It was directed by Barry Jenkins, story by Terrell Alvin McCraney, based on the play called In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. The principal cast is Mahershala Ali, Naomi Harris, and Trevante Rhodes. Moonlight follows a young African-American man as he grapples with his identity and sexuality while experiencing the everyday struggles of childhood, adolescence, and burgeoning adulthood. It has an estimated budget of $1.5 million. Opening weekend, it made about 400,000 US. In the US, it grossed about 27 million, and worldwide, it grossed about $65 million. As far as critics received it, it got a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 99% on Metacritic. So overall, great movie.
What is IMDb like? What is their thing? What do they do?
I don't know. I don't trust any of their ratings. I just like to put it now, but even though I'm like, I don't listen to them at all.
They're dumb. That's all I gotta say. They're dumb.
JT, do you ever look at like the scores that it gets on Rotten Tomatoes? Like any movie. Do you look at them before you
Kind
watch
of.
them or after you watch them?
Kind of, but if they're really low, that just gives me more of a reason to watch them because they're
Yeah.
stupid. But
I love a bad movie.
it's not a make or break it thing for me. I'll probably look it up, but yeah.
I most likely I don't do it anymore, but if I were to, I feel like I would form my opinion and then look at like at least when I do these, I do them before, but sometimes it's movies that we've already seen. But I like to see if it aligns with what I think. It rarely ever changes my opinion on a movie.
Yeah, I don't look at these. The only reason I know these is because of this podcast. I wouldn't look at them. But I took a film analysis course and I had to look into some there.
And I
No.
think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. No, like I looked at a bunch of reviews on Rotten Tomatoes because I had to write a paper on Get Out, and it's just like people just write whatever. I don't think these mean anything really. Film
Especially
is so subjective.
And if they don't, another thing too, this is like a rant for another day, but especially for a movie like Get Out, or you see this a lot in festival circuits, where the people that are reviewing them are more likely going to be white. So the movie, I mean, they can still enjoy it, but it's not really made specifically for their experience. So if they don't understand it, then to them they're like, well, I don't get it. That they were being nice to him at the party. Well, like why was it weird? You know, like the guy that played the dad in Get Out, the line where he says that he would have voted for Obama for a third term, the actor said he didn't realize that was a joke. Because like he doesn't know if he's not if he's like he's casted perfectly because that's the kind of guy he is, you know. So they don't understand how like that's a joke. So it's kind of annoying to see critics that are like, well, I don't understand how it was funny.
What were some of the reviews for Moonlight? Because that's what I was kind of curious about. It's a movie about blackness and queerness, like the intersection of that. So like if you're not black or queer, then what are you like? What would your opinion be of the movie? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't read reviews specifically on this movie, but just speaking about the experience when this, like, whenever this movie was going through the award circuit, it was wild because, like, with the whole La La Land thing, like, that whole, like, fiasco is actually really, like, perfect and really poetic because a lot of critics that year loved La La Land, and it was a good movie, but Moonlight is, it's like, in terms of like thematic elements and so many other things, it's like ages ahead of what La La Land could ever represent. And I think people were like disappointed when people don't give La La Land like credit, but Moonlight is battling so many different things that it's like, even if like critically they're the same level, what Moonlight means puts it on a totally different thing. And because a lot of the academy is built from people, or not just that academy, but a bunch of academies are built from people that don't understand that experience, they don't give it the recognition it needs. So the fact that it won is already like amazing. But the disappointment and the hate that it got after it like stole the award from La La Land was really telling as to what you're saying. Like, and I feel like you don't have to be black or queer to love this movie. I mean, I'm neither, and I love this movie. But if you don't surround yourself with people in that have that experience, or if you don't pay attention to that experience, then you're not going to understand it, you know. But yeah, I don't know.
What a rant.
Sorry, I know. I'm sorry. But it's just so annoying that like the people that are arbiters of taste are all the same. It's so annoying. But yeah, that was a really bad rant. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into it.
I think it was good. That was for you, IMDb. Let's get into it.
Alrighty. So we start with a very beautiful car and a very beautiful man driving it, and his
name's
but
Juan.
the first person on screen is Juan. And a fun fact about Mahershala Ali is, well, we all know that he won Best Supporting Actor, but can you guess how much screen time he had?
He was probably in like less than a third of the movie.
Anthony, did you see it, Anthony?
Yeah, I see it here. I'm not gonna guess.
Oh, it's less than 20 minutes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To put like Oscar level performance in less than that, props to the man. That's crazy.
It's not, and like we'll get into it later, but like there's so many people in this movie that did such amazing work with such little time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets out of the car, he walks past two men that are in the middle of an argument. And the only thing I noted about this scene, well, there's a couple of things, but is the camera movement and how fast and like swooping it is. But after seeing, oh God, what is his second movie? I always forget the name.
Greenlight?
What? No,
What?
I'm sorry. I'm talking about Barry Jenkins.
Oh.
What was the second movie that we saw?
The second movie that we saw.
I was talking to Jaytee, but I don't know where he went.
The second movie?
His second movie.
I don't know.
God damn it. Anyways, he did another movie recently that I
Oh.
can't remember the name.
I said Green Light. It's Green Book. My bad.
But I'm not talking about that one though.
Okay.
But Barry Jenkins, I feel like I didn't realize until I saw this movie again, but he does that a lot where he'll do like sweeping movements. And I just like the flow of it. And another thing I noted was how well Barry sets up his characters with so little. Like
Mhm.
just the way that Juan was walking around, you know he owns that block. Like you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have to say it, you know? The way he's like talking to people, he's looking around, making sure everything's okay. I just love that.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a bunch of little shits chasing our hero. I mean, at this point, it's his name is Little, but his name is Chiron. And he runs into an empty apartment as the kids who are chasing him are still taunting him from outside. So he just decides to wait it out. And it's obviously not a great place. Like I don't know, I forgot what he called it. I think he called it like a hole, right? And he just like is picking up glass and
Yeah.
whatever's in there,
That
and
was
it's
like a
really
crack
stressful.
pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. But then Juan shows up. He like literally breaks the door down just to see why Chiron is in there. And like the angel he is, he takes him to eat. And then this is where we first see that this movie is broken into sections, and the first section is called Little. And I just love, I forgot, there's a specific movie that he referenced as to why he structured it this way, and I totally forgot what it was. But I love it. And we'll talk about this later, but the structures are Little, Chiron, and then Black. And I was wondering, I know we're not in the three parts of our own lives, but what do you think y'all's sections would be titled?
Oh, God.
What the hell? Hitting it hard.
So, because mine, I'll go with mine first. I said I would never say what my nickname one was when I was a kid, but I'll reveal it. So the nickname that has always stuck with me, but when I was a baby, it was Chub because I was a chubby baby. So that would be the first one. And then the second one I feel like would be high school times, and everybody in high school called me Livs. So that would be 2. And for 3, I think I would just be Livia. Or I would make it funny and put like parentheses and put O, like Olivia. Yeah.
That'd be funny. That's a good question. I
Yeah.
If y'all want time to think, I can keep going.
Yeah, maybe by the end of the episode, I'll have like an answer.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. So next one is he's trying to get anything out of Chiron, but he just will not budge. He won't say anything. And I love that scene too where he takes the food from him and he just like instead of fighting, he's like really sad and retreats. And he's like, dude, I'm sorry, I won't take the food from you. And I just love Juan instantly. He's so kind and welcoming, and I feel like I love that throughout this movie they like they're not the directors are I think they're really smart to know exactly what the audience or their main audience is going to think of these characters before they even talk. Like how Juan dresses, the fact that he has grills, like you just already have an idea of who he is in your mind, and he totally subverts that. And he like is not at all what you would think. He's just so nice.
Mhm.
And he takes him home to his girlfriend to make him talk.
Yes.
Played by Janelle Monáe. This movie is just perfectly cast.
Right. I thought she was just like her interactions with Little were just so genuine to me. It
Yeah.
didn't even feel like a movie. Like I've literally had those interactions with people who like the moment you step in their house, even as a stranger, like they make you feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
She's really good at that. So.
And then they feed him more, which is like a dream. That's a very, at least in like Anthony and I's culture, like that's the first thing you do. That's every time we walk into my grandma's house, she just asks us if we're hungry. You know, that's that's very familiar to at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
So they feed him some more, and then he finally tells them his name is Chiron, and then he decides to stay the night there because he will not tell them where he's from. And like you don't know from this moment because you haven't seen like his living situation, but it is kind of sad to look back on it knowing that he probably did that on purpose. Like he didn't want to go home. Especially all the food they were making him. That food looked fucking good. But yeah, and then Juan takes him home, and then his mom is angry. Which, I mean, I would be too. It's kind of hard to like judge her for that, for being angry. And I did make a note that I now watching this, you could kind of see like I at first thought the reason that she had such an adverse reaction to Juan was because she didn't know him. But like now that we kind of know that they did know each other, that was like a really telling scene, and I really liked that. And then we go to a game of soccer where they're playing with like a ball that's made out of paper. And that's where we first meet our angel Kevin. I fucking love Kevin.
Yeah.
He's I think, I mean, Chiron is like an amazing part of this movie, but I think Kevin's my favorite character. And then Kevin tries to help him not be soft.
Yeah.
He's already taking care of him. Oh my god, I love him. Oh yeah, and I said that he takes care of him from the very beginning. And he's just so nice to him.
Yeah. Also, that scene right there that you're talking about when they're playing football, aside from the very first song that played when the movie started, like I guess that's the second time that I really heard the music, and it was like they're playing this rough sport, football, soccer, whatever it was, but like overlaying that is classical music.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up to see like who the hell like composed this song, and I think it's the same composer as If Bill Street Could Talk, like Nicholas
That's
Patel.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so it
Yeah,
has the same feel. Oh, If
that's
Bill
the
Street
movie
Could
I was
Talk.
talking
Okay.
about. Yes, that's why I said because I saw it with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie has a lot of like I think it's you can just I mean for this one you can tell what his style is, but that movie it like cements what Barry Jenkins' style is.
Right.
And
Okay.
he loves doing that, which I love. And I saw this one really ignorant video of this guy like he was praising the movie for having classical music, and he was like, because you would think it would have more urban music, and I was like he's allowed to put whatever music he wants. It was just so annoying that they just expected him to have like rap throughout the whole thing. It was so annoying.
Right.
Did he really use the word urban?
I think so. And that's what made me mad. But so this next scene I have a fun fact for because we're about to so it's just talking about like the three actors that play Chiron. In an interview, Barry Jenkins revealed that the three actors who played Chiron never met during production. He wanted each of them to build their own persona of Chiron during their respective segments with no influence from other portrayals. The same technique was used with the actors who played Kevin.
Yeah. I did hear something like that. I think that's awesome. I think that just speaks to what the writing of it.
Yeah, I
the
was
right.
about to say that, yeah. Because I would be like, that's what I was thinking when I first read that. Like, how did they do it so well then?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the writing that's like the string that holds everything together.
Yeah. And even the actors themselves were surprised, like extremely surprised how well it meshed together. Yeah.
I remember that whenever like award season, they would always ask him about that, and they're like, "No, like I didn't see it until the movie was finished," which is
That's
really
crazy.
cool. Oh, and then another fun fact about the next scene, which is where Juan takes Little to the beach. When Juan teaches Little how to swim, Mahershala Ali is really teaching the actor Alex Hibbert how to swim. When production started, Hibbert didn't know how to swim, and now he does.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene when they're in the pool, or I guess at the beach, learning how to swim as like black men in the water. I don't know. I mean, that's like this huge stereotype that just black people don't know how to swim. But to see a black father figure and this little boy there, I don't know, it's pretty symbolic, but I just really enjoyed that scene. But then it also later in the movie, I think at the very end, it went back to that scene. But I don't know, it just was very like eerily quiet for me.
Yeah.
And like even the way that the camera was positioned too was like partially underwater, so like the waves were hitting up against the lens, and it was it was just a nice scene for me. I really enjoyed that one.
And I love the symbolism, like you said, of him like carrying him and teaching him how to do something that's kind of essential in life.
Yeah.
But also their talk when they're sitting there and he's basically telling him like about his past, and you learn that he's from Cuba, right? That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hugh.
And I love this scene, especially as a Latino. Like, there's a lot of discussion now about Afro Latinos and that they're not really like they're underrepresented and underserved in our community, and I just love that like that is revealed within him, that he is like Cuban, that he's a black man but he's also Afro Latino. Like I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
And he also just tells Juan tells Little that he can decide who he wants to be. Like I feel like every single thing Juan says in this movie is just so like profound, and so I feel like he was talking to me. You know, he's like telling me like you can like fuck everybody, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
Oh, and the next scene is where they're in the restroom and they're comparing their peens. I have to ask, do boys do this?
Yikes.
Because that's
I don't think it's uncommon.
okay. Boys are weird. That's all I'll say.
I've never experienced anything like that. Maybe it's, I don't know. I never even heard of that, honestly. Like this
I
was a
feel like
shock
I've
to
heard
me.
of it. Well,
Like
I
definitely
think
guys talk about it, but it's never like we're in a circle. Like I've never heard of that before.
I wonder if it has to do with like a generation thing, because the men, or at least the man that wrote it, is a little bit older than all of us. I would say like in his 30s maybe. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was a thing, and they based it off of like him and this is like another fun fact, but him and Barry are from this exact area that the film
Liberty
is set.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that was their experience. I don't know. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and then Little goes back to his house, and just a few things I noted about like his living situation is that the TV is noticeably gone. So that's how you can kind of see some semblance of his mom. Probably, I mean, who else? Like, what other reason do you need to sell a TV that fast?
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Good point.
and especially because they don't have any water, like hot. They don't have any hot water. He has to like heat it up himself, and then
Mm-hmm.
he like puts dish soap in the water.
Which been there, done that.
Which I mean, no judging, because like soap is soap. Truly, I mean.
Soap is soap. That is true.
Yeah.
um.
I also like watched that scene and was like, I wonder if this being in this bathtub reminds him of like being in that ocean, because he kind of
Oh,
sat there for a minute and was just like, and then like the camera moved back. Yeah.
think
So
about that.
maybe I don't
Damn.
know. Um, one thing that I also noticed about just like the living situation is that like the colors of it, like the wall in the living room was blue, and like in a future scene at the end of the hallway, his mom's room illuminates pink. And so I'll get into that, like why I paid close attention to that, but I just wanted to like make note of that now, that like most of the house was blue, but her room specifically was pink.
Interesting. Um. Okay, and then the next scene is we see Juan back at his like spot, and then he makes mention of like somebody is lighting up in their spot. And so he goes to like tell them like you can't like why the fuck would you do that here when you bought it? Um, and then it's Chiron's mom in the car, and she's just like talking shit, saying that are you gonna tell him why the kids make fun of him? And she's also making fun of him, and
Yeah.
that's really rough. But I also love how Juan like gets really mad, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad the fact that not only does she know that they're doing that to him, but she knows why, and she just like doesn't say anything. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like you see the way he walks, like
Ugh.
she even says that at one point.
Yeah, and she like is making
Does
fun of
it
the way he walks.
matter? Does it
Yeah,
really matter? He's a child, but
but yeah. Oh, and then I think this is the shot you're talking about, but it is one of my favorite shots of the film is when she's yelling at him, but you can't hear it, and it's like really slow motion.
right.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, I feel like I know what she says based on like the scene after. Um, I'm pretty sure she calls him. I don't know if I could say this word. Can I go ahead and say it?
It's up to you.
Okay. I'm pretty sure she says you're a faggot. I'm pretty sure that's what she mouths.
I
And
think
so
yeah.
like seeing him in the kitchen staring down this hallway, like this pink hallway. And when I think of pink, I think when most people think of pink, they think of like femininity.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's staring at this like pink motherly figure telling him that he's a faggot. And so like that already is just sick to have to listen to, but like that scene just is imprinted in my mind that like right after she said that, she just like walked into her room, closed the door, and then the scene just like moved on. The movie just moved on. Because I don't know. I feel like when you're called that or some things like that happen to you, things that are like objectively just insane, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're just kind of like forced to not think about it too much and just like move on. And I feel like in that moment, that's kind of what he did. He may not have been able to like make sense of it. In fact, we know based on the scene after that he didn't know what that word meant. He knew that it was bad the way it was said to him, but he didn't know what it meant. It was just like a bad thing to be called. So very, very important scene, because also it's not uncommon to be called that, right? Um,
Yeah.
a very hard scene to watch, but I think the way it was executed was pretty good. The way they kind of blurred it out.
Oh yeah, because it felt so intentional, like you said, the lighting, but it also, like you said, like it also just it feels like a memory. Like you don't really hear memories, you just see them, and so knowing like the writer and the director's past, like just how they decided to frame that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is a really hard scene to watch, but I think because of that, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird to say, but it's just because it's so powerful. Yeah. Okay. So after that, that's when, like you said, he shows up to Juan's and he talks about how he hates his mom. And he asks what that word means. And then he asks if he is one. And I remember when I first watched this movie, I was so nervous. And you
Yeah.
could tell Juan and his girlfriend were super nervous. But I think he handled it like Juan handled it perfectly. He just said that he doesn't press any sort of agenda onto him. Like he
Yeah.
says that's a mean word that's a word that people say to make gay people feel bad. And then he asks if he is one, and he says you don't have to know right now. Or he said that you can be gay, but don't ever let anybody call you that word.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is so nice. I don't know if I've ever seen a black man on a movie say it's okay if you are gay, but you
Right.
don't let anybody call you that.
Yeah.
But I love that they don't make that a big deal. Like it is just a scene, and he tells him, like you said, he says you don't have to know right now, because he doesn't. He's so young, um, and then but it turns sour because he finds out that Juan sells. We can put together that Juan sells his mom's drugs, and
Yeah.
then he
I
leaves.
literally took a note about this. I said You sell drugs. My mom does drugs. You must sell drugs to my mom. I hate my mom. I don't trust you. The
Yeah.
reasoning jumped out. Like, literally, he was able to piece that together.
Man,
I
that's
know. I would
rough.
like. I would have been just waiting for them to serve me a plate of something.
Yeah.
Um, and then after this, we're at the second act, where Chiron is a teen, and he still has problems with other little shits making fun of him. Um, and then we also see after like this kid's bullying him in class, and then Chiron's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's like staring at them through this like
Right.
staircase. And then Kevin, my angel, comes again. I fucking love him. Um, and he has this like weird story. I love
Yeah.
his character. His character is so funny, but he has. I love the part where he says like they got caught because she was like being loud and like complimenting him, and he's like, "Girl, why you have to compliment me?"
Yeah.
um, and then I also love when Chiron goes home. He finally evades the bullies. He goes home, and his mom's like, you can't be here."
Man, it's so rough, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
I
he
feel for
goes,
Kevin.
and then he goes to Juan's house. And then Juan isn't there. And at this point,
Which,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry. Do you know why? I didn't piece this together till like my third time watching this movie.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like instantly knew. From what I
Yeah.
remember, I think I like felt it. I was like, oh, he's probably dead. But then they confirm it. So like he goes and then he goes back to his mom's house, and she like mentions Teresa and says that she hasn't seen her since the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you kind of put two and two together. At
Yeah.
least for me, not for Jaytee, but
Yeah. Very slow with it. And I only probably caught this because I had the subtitles on.
but another thing about this scene though is that you can tell his mom is getting worse because they have this close up of her, and I love they do this in the movie a lot where they have like close ups and the audio doesn't match. They'll like have a slow motion of their face, and then the audio will like start, and then it'll catch up with their face. It's like really cool the way he does it, how he cuts it.
It's perfect.
Um, and then his mom is trying to get money from him because she knows that Teresa gives him money. And then he obviously doesn't want to be around that night, so he wanders around all night because he can't really go home. And then he ends up going to the beach and sits in the sand, and then Kevin shows up, my angel. And then the dialogue here is very funny. Like one of the scenes that I love is, or one of the lines of dialogue is when he keeps calling him black, and he's like, why what kind of dude goes around giving other dudes nicknames? Because he asks him
Kind of
like
gonna
why he
smoke
calls him
you out,
that.
boy.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I just I love Kevin so much. Um, but I think I didn't tie it this until this time, whenever he like when he like they have that whole scene of him like asking why he calls him that, and the last part he goes by black. I didn't even
Yeah.
put that together. Ugh, man, I love them so much.
Yeah.
I just love that like see there's so many. I think my favorite act is the third act for so many reasons, but when I realized that, I could not stop smiling. Oh, and then there's another like heartbreaking part when he asks him if he cries. And like he was so surprised by the fact that Kevin mentioned that he cries. And it's just so sad that not only do we not let men in general do that, but I mean, Jaytee, you could probably speak to this better, but like especially black men are not really allowed to have any other emotions other than like they can't really be sad,
Yeah.
especially in
And I feel
movies.
like a lot of other emotion is just transformed into anger. It's
Yeah.
like if you're sad, don't let anybody see that. Like be mad. It's like I feel like yeah, there's not really like a handle. I'm speaking from my experience. Like there's not really like a handle on emotions. You don't really know how to navigate emotions other than feeling normal and then feeling rage and anger. So like it was nice to see that it was nice to see them talk about crying and talk about being emotional and be vulnerable. Yet I feel like Chiron still had a wall up throughout that conversation. But yeah, it was nice to see that, and definitely is a thing.
Yeah. And then they kiss.
Did it
And
win like an award for best kiss or something?
I hope it did, because it was a very good kiss. And I just love the way this whole like scene is shot. How it's not really, how it just focuses on him cradling his head. I mean, we can tell what's happening, but it's just, I love the moments of intimacy he decides to focus on. Because that whole moment, it's obviously a sex scene, but it just means so much more than just sex. But yeah, I think it's such a great moment of intimacy, and it shows really perfectly how, like, Barry Jenkins just, I'm also remembering in Bill Street, the sex scene in that was also perfect. Like, he just does intimacy and love really well. I don't know if have you seen Bill Street, Anthony?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
The trumpets in that score is
Ugh,
by
so
far the.
we
Man,
need to do that movie. I think it's on Hulu. We need to do it soon. We'll bring you back, Jaytee, when we do it.
I love that movie.
It's so good. And another part that I love is after he finishes, he apologizes, and then Kevin like tells him like, "What do you have to be sorry for?" Kevin is a fucking angel.
Yeah.
He just knows every right thing to say. I fucking love him. But then obviously it doesn't end well, because the next day they have like a really cute scene in the car, and but then the next day the bully is back at it again, and then he gets Kevin to fight Chiron, which is so fucking sad. And like, I hate that scene. So movies like any movie where I see like younger teens, especially, I don't know why, I think it's because I have younger brothers, but like it's so hard for me to watch movies like this and see people be so mean to him, because I was like, oh, he's so young. I don't know. It was really hard to watch that scene, and like the hurt on his face when he realized what was going to happen, that not only was he going to get like beat up, but that it was Kevin going to do it.
Yeah.
Ugh. I felt the protective part of me just like jump out. And it really stressed me out, especially after they beat him up, and the way that teacher talked to him. Oh my God. How she told him, like, basically told him if he was a man, then the rest of them would be in there, when it was 4-on-1. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, sorry. But yeah, they were all beating him up, and then
yeah, that was
the teacher
rough.
was really mean. And then, honestly, so the line, violence is never the answer, but that last scene where he
Big
walks
butt.
in and just fucking kicks the shit out of that kid. So much joy.
Man, he had to have like really thrown that chair to break it into like multiple pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, but
He
that's
showed
what you
up to
mean
school
about
like
rage.
on a mission, running through that school.
Yeah, I know this movie's broken into 3 parts, and those parts are very distinct, but I feel like when like Chiron's part ends whenever he dumps his head into the water. Like he's not the same
Yeah.
person after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, and then we go to, well, because then he realizes just then. I think that's like what we were talking about earlier, like you said, Jaytee, about rage. That that he realized that even after that like moment where he had a glimpse of what he could be, that he could be like what Kevin was telling him, like he could be emotional, he could be all these things and be accepted, but then it's like instantly shut down, and the only way to like get your voice heard is like he was sitting there crying in front of that lady, and she told him that he wasn't a man. So then he decided to be a man, like it's just so sad what we do to black men in this world. It's so fucking sad.
Yeah.
But
This is like fast forward to
no,
part
go ahead.
3, Black, but I feel like throughout that entire part of the movie, he was just kind of emotionless. Like,
Mhm.
didn't really crack very few smiles, laughed a few times, wasn't sad, angry. It was just kind of like a stonewall face like the entire time. And when it got to part 3 of the movie, I checked to see how much time I had left, and it was like 45 minutes or around 50, 45 minutes. And it seemed like that last 45 minutes, sorry, I'm maybe jumping ahead, but just went by so fast.
Yeah, it did.
Was not expecting that.
God, this
And
movie,
not a
and
lot
it's so
happened,
well
it seemed.
paced.
Not a lot happened, but it just seems like
Yeah.
once, like so much happened leading up to that third scene, and then it was just the diner scene. And
Yeah.
that was it. Like, it was just like one day.
God, and I could have watched like an hour of that fucking diner scene. I love it so much.
Same.
But we are on the third part, so you didn't jump ahead. But I just want to do a quick aside and talk about one of the reasons I think Juan's character is still so important, and probably the reason that he won supporting actor is his presence. So, especially throughout this third act, there's so many things that are like such a Juan thing that you can tell that is turned into now Black. And his look, he looks exactly like him. Like the styling of him is Juan. The car, like even with the same crown on the hood, or on the dash. And this is jumping ahead a little bit, but he also so actually this next scene where we see him like at work, like doing like what he's supposed to be doing, and um he's an accountant. No, he's like counting the money.
I wish I was that type of
Oh
accountant.
my!
I'd probably be making way more than I'm making now.
I had no idea where that was going, but that was dumb.
I know. No, but what I meant to say was that he just is taking over Juan's ability to be a great mentor. Like the fact that he scared that kid, but he was like, you can't, like, don't act like, if somebody tells you, like somebody like me, that's when you're down here and I'm up here, like you don't tell me, oh no, that's not true. Like it is like a harsh reality, but the fact that he decided to teach him that instead of actually punish him was really like such a Juan thing to do.
Yeah. But
And then
also just like
also like,
something he has experienced firsthand is like he had to probably learn through the help of Juan, but how to grow thick skin, being
yeah.
called all of these names and dealing with all of these bullies. Like, so I felt like that was just. I think he even said like you got to learn how to, or you got to learn how to deal with people fucking with you and things like that.
Yeah.
Like it was a bigger message, I think, too.
Well, he's protecting. Yeah, he's protecting another Black man like him. Like he knows that he can't. Like there's certain things in the world that you can't do because of who you are.
Yeah.
He's realistic with that. One last thing about Juan that I noticed carried into Chiron now was whenever he sat at the diner, like whenever he sat to eat, he I don't know if y'all remember the scene when he's a kid and he's like sitting in Juan's dining room and he tells him not to sit with his back towards the door. When he's in the diner, he also doesn't sit with his back towards the door.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
like a small thing that I noticed. And then my angel Kevin calls him and he invites him to the diner he works at. And I think he has like a dream about him, right? But then he also decides, because right before that his mom called him and I think he was just like not wanting to see her, not wanting to talk to her, but as soon as Kevin called, he was like, huh? Which honestly same. But he does go and see his mom, and that's where I want to talk about Naomi Harris, who played his mom. She had to shoot her entire role in 3 days. And it was between her promotional tour of Spectre, which I think is one of the James Bond movies, right? Also due to a visa problem because she's British. And the scenes spanned 15 years in the character's life, and were filmed out of sequence. So she didn't even shoot them in order, and she shot them in 3 days.
And I also heard that she was the only character in the movie to be on all three parts.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting too. I didn't know she was British.
Yeah. I love
Yeah,
her
it blew my
acting.
mind. I was watching some interviews and I was like, what is this?
I need to see those interviews ASAP.
Yeah, I love her accent. She also does. I saw an interview with her. I think it's like one of those round tables with a bunch of actresses, where she made a good point where she didn't want to do this role at first because she didn't want to be another like black woman portraying, like the role that she was portraying. But as soon as she found out that it was largely based on Barry Jenkins' mother, who is also an addict, that's why she wanted to do it. So just thought that was interesting. Okay, so now we're at the diner scene, which is my favorite scene. My favorite entire sequence of the whole movie. Mainly because I if you look at all the people that cared about Sharon in his life, they all fed him. Every single one. When Juan bought him food, when Teresa would always make him food, and then Kevin making him food now. And I just love that. And he's so happy. Kevin is so happy to see him. He doesn't even recognize him. And that whole scene, like when he's getting ready outside of his car. Oh God, fucking love the scene. And then we learn that Kevin has a kid. And as soon as he tells him that, you can see the light leave Sharon's eyes. He's
Yeah.
like so sad. But then he tells him that he's not together with uh the kid's mom. And then Chiron tells him that he's a drug dealer now, and you can tell that Kevin's like, why? Um. Oh, and then he asked him like, why did you ask me to come here? And then he said some guy, I think some guy reminded him of him, and then he played a song, and then he played him this song, and I forgot exactly who sang it, but it's called "Hello Stranger"
Yeah.
It's a good one.
by Barbara Lewis. Such a good song. And then after that, so they listen to the song. After they leave, they go to Kevin's apartment. And then he asks Tyrone who he is because he said that like he just totally did not expect him to look the way he does now. And honestly, I was like reflecting on what I would have thought seeing the first two parts, what I would have thought that Sherwin would look like, and I also didn't really expect him to look like that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And a few times he asked them like who, I think it may have been when they went back to his apartment, but he was like, who are you, Chiron? And I don't think he had an
Mm-hmm.
answer to that. I don't think he
No.
responded. Maybe he said I'm me, but that could have just been like deflecting the question. But I just felt like maybe he's still trying to figure that out. Because I mean, the
Yeah.
only male positive figure, it seems, we didn't hear much about his dad early on, but the only male figure that we see that he knew was Juan. And so
Yeah.
like replicating like who he is as a man in Juan's own image, I feel like that's maybe the only frame of reference that he had. So like in being a man, like I must be Juan. I don't know. That could be a thought, but maybe he
Yeah.
just hasn't figured out who he is yet.
Which, I mean, Juan is not a bad example or not a bad person to model yourself off of, but Juan also doesn't really understand what it's like to be a queer man or a gay man, So, like, even that identity, I think that's the thing that's stuck with him where he doesn't really know how to express that.
Yeah.
But even Kevin says that he for a long time didn't really know who he was either, and now he has like some sort of semblance of a life, even though like he said he doesn't really make more than shoe money and his apartment isn't great. He still has his kid and he knows who he is, and you can tell that Chiron like really wants that. um but yeah, like I said before, I feel like it is surprising from the outside, and Kevin only knows Chiron from what he knew about him 10 years ago, but like if you put the pieces together of what the world sort of made him be, it really isn't that surprising, like who he's turned out to be and what he looks like, and especially
Yeah.
that woman telling him that you're not a man, and you're trying to figure out what that is, like you only have a media, like whatever the media tells you a man should look like, you know. And then probably one of my favorite like lines of the whole movie was when he like pauses when Kevin's like making him tea or something, and he says, "You're the only man that's ever touched me. You're the only one." I had to pause it. It made me so emotional. I fucking love that line. Yeah, and then after that, I think Kevin, like, I love the scene too where Kevin, or right after, he just looks at him and he's like trying to figure out what to do, and then he smiles. And then they cut to them sitting on the, like, I think it's his bed, and he's hugging him and like cradling him and running his fingers through his hair. And it's such a perfect way to end that act. But the last shot is of Chiron when he was little, looking at the ocean, and then he looks back, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
So good.
When they were sitting on that couch, it reminded me of the scene when they were younger, sitting on the beach, when they, I guess, first got intimate, and he was just petting his hair. I don't know. Something about like getting your head just rubbed on is the most romantic thing in this world. Let me tell you.
It really is. All right. So before we talk about like overall stuff, I have a few fun facts. Okay, the first one, according to the cinematographer James Laxton, Moonlight only had a small budget of $1.5 million. Director Barry Jenkins confirmed at a Q&A at the BFI in London that was indeed the budget. This was a lower budget than any other Best Picture winner since Rocky, 1990, which was made in 1976. Which Rocky back in the day cost 1.1 million, but if the budgets were adjusted for inflation, then Moonlight would still be the lowest budgeted movie to ever win.
That's awesome.
All right. Both director Barry Jenkins and writer Terrell Avon McCraney's vision was very clear and singular that both men grew up in the same Liberty City neighborhood of Miami with mothers who both struggled with drug addiction. Roughly 80% of the film was shot on location in one of the most poverty-stricken areas in the United States. Initially, the production was apprehensive about safety issues until word got out that Jenkins was from that neighborhood and filming the movie. Then everything changed for the better. The locals could have not been more welcoming and cooperative. Naomi Harris herself said that she'd never felt so appreciated and at ease on a film set during the shoot. Okay. Oh, I love this one. An early meeting with Brad Pitt helped director Barry Jenkins get the necessary funds and distribution deal he required. And if you want to look at a great example of like a rich white person being a great ally, is Brad Pitt. If you look at all the movies, like the recent movies that he's produced, they're like all movies made from Black filmmakers.
That's awesome.
Really?
I had no idea.
Yeah. Like, I mean, let me look it up. But I know it's true, but I think like one of the ones I'm thinking of is like 12 Years a Slave. But yeah, let me look at produced movies.
While you're doing that, JT, did you come up with your 3 titles?
I have the first one. I think I'm in the midst of the second one right now, like currently as we speak in 2020. I am in phase 2. Phase 3, still trying to figure it out. So come back to me. Do you have yours?
I don't have all of them. All I have is the first one.
Okay.
Maybe I'm still in that one. I have no idea. But it would be called Mute, just because I was a really quiet kid, and I'm a really quiet person. So I think that's what my first one would be. I don't know. That makes the most sense to me. I don't. The second one, maybe just my name. Maybe just Anthony.
All right. Well, I can't find it, but I know that he's helped a lot of. I don't know if he's produced them, so maybe that's why I can't find them. But he's a very big like person. He's somebody that likes to like help a lot of underserved communities in like filmmaking. But there's this. I want to read this one article. I'm gonna read it later, but is Brad Pitt the wokest white man in Hollywood? All right. Just two more fun facts. The light flashes in the transitions between chapters is actually an out-of-focus digital time code from the camera slate. During filming, the actors were sprayed with oil so their skin would shine on camera, and the crew would hold the running slate against the lens to protect it from the sprays. Barry Jenkins saw this out-of-focus time code on his view monitor and decided to add it to the film, as the light flashes are literally showing time moving forward.
I was wondering what that was because it's blue.
It's like blue
and
dots.
Then it's red. Yeah, I had no idea what that was, but that's cool.
All right. The last one is although the film is set in a rough neighborhood and guns are shown sometimes, not a single round is fired throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, that's a cool. That's a fun fact.
All right, those are all my fun facts. So overall, what do y'all think? Do you have any other scenes that you want to talk about? Just overall thoughts. I loved it for one. It holds up really well. I've only seen it this might have been my like third or fourth time seeing it. And I'm not one to rewatch movies, but this one's still like every single emotion I felt the first time, felt it again. Yeah, it's very rewatchable. I love it.
Yeah.
And the fact that he made it for $1.5 million is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's such high quality for that. I'll just go really fastly. I'm just gonna make it short. I think I had a stroke. Maybe my second title is dumb. That's what it is. I really love this movie. It tells such an important story, and one thing I took from all the interviews that I watched is all of the actors were like, this movie, all the characters, like I know that person in my life. I know Juan. I know Kevin. I know all of these people, and that's such a cool thing that I don't necessarily know these people, but I'm glad that these people are represented and someone else can do that. And as far as scenes go, the last scene sticks out the most to me, where Little's looking back at the camera, just because it's so important. I think to this movie that scene is at the very end, because even though he's gone through 3 different points in his life, he's still that like hopeless kid who doesn't know who he is. And it just and perfectly ended the movie for me. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Well said. Well said. I agree with all of that. I guess for me, one, I'm a very big fan of this movie. Two, I think this may have been the 4th time I've seen it. I don't think the first 2 count though, because I couldn't make it all the way through. And I was talking to Livia about this book that I'm reading, which is slightly related to the same topic, written by this Black queer author / journalist. And I'd say, like, for once in my life, when I was reading that book and watching this movie, like, I saw my story in media. And I'm sure that's how, like, well, maybe I don't know. I would assume that's how, like, white men and women who see themselves portrayed in media, like, feel like seeing this person who's seeing this story that they identify with so closely. I never had that until like this book that I'm reading, which is called All Boys Aren't Blue, Oh, sorry. Yeah, All Boys Aren't Blue by George Johnson, and then this movie too. So like I feel like stories like this don't happen often, and like people try so hard to like erase these stories and erase these experiences, and to like see like Chiron and to see Black, even though I don't sell drugs, I am an accountant, but like to see experiences like that just make it all more real that those stories like do exist. My story exists. My story is just as valid as anyone else's. And I guess the deeper message from this movie too is like at the end of the day, like you don't have to know like 100% like who you are. Like you can still be in this transitional phase of trying to figure it out. Um, and I feel like the moment that you just become comfortable with who you are is maybe, yeah, for me, maybe not the best thing. I don't want to be stagnant, but I guess that's just one thing that I'm trying to figure out is like who Jaytee is, who Joshua is. And movies like this help me navigate that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need more movies like this. I need more movies like this for me. Not to be
Well,
selfish, but
no, but
to be selfish.
no, yeah, you need to be selfish because, like you said, like there's so many different white stories being told in different ways, and the fact that you can only point to one movie and one book that's telling your story is fucking sad, and it's honestly it's embarrassing, and all of us should be embarrassed, you know, like
Yeah. And that's not to
so
say like others don't exist. Maybe I need to do
no.
research and like figure that out. But I yeah, just to have one example of that is it's pretty sad. Pretty sad. And
And
also
it
like this movie wasn't like over the top, like there wasn't a lot of action. The way I would describe it, it's kind of like it just was. Like the movie just
oh yeah.
was. I don't know how else to describe it. I I mean I guess like objectively you can maybe say like it was maybe boring for people who I don't know. I feel like people could say like there's an argument to be made that it is a boring movie, but I mean I don't agree with that. There wasn't a lot of action, but the story that was being told um, was a good one for me. Like it was a real one for me. Like there didn't have to be pyro and like freaking I don't know explosions and gunshots and shit. Like there didn't have to be all of that for it to be a good movie. It's just a story.
And also, even if it wasn't a good movie, I feel like that's another rant for another day, but there's so much pressure on movies like this to be perfect, you know? Like there's so much pressure on like you know, like say for instance this movie failed or like the recent one I can think of is the whole hype behind Black Panther and the fact that people acted as if that movie was terrible that movie has to be amazing, you know, it has to be so many things, it has to have not only a great story but great action, great animation, and honestly, like if we're being honest, that movie doesn't have a lot of those things, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't still have movies like that, you know? Everybody, every person should have like a boring movie, should have a bad movie. Like it shouldn't be it shouldn't the fate of black cinema shouldn't be on Moonlight's shoulders, you know?
Right. Or Tyler Perry. But that's a conversation for another day. Literally, I don't know if you told Anthony this, but it was between Moonlight and Acrimony.
No,
That's
you
what
didn't
we
tell
had it.
me
That's what we had to
Acrimony.
go
I would
against.
not have let us watch Acrimony.
Oh,
I
wait,
can't.
I didn't tell you either.
No.
Oh, those are the two I was playing with.
You know
Like,
what,
do we
too?
want
I
to be
was going
serious or do we not want to be serious?
as soon as no, but you did ask me, does it have to be like a good movie? I knew he's gonna make me watch fucking Acrimony. I knew it.
Oh, I could have forced you to watch Les Mis after
Oh
10 years.
no. God no.
Ah, but
But either
happy
way, like
medium.
but or like I don't know. I want I speaking of Les Mis, I want Mexicans to have a boring ass musical too. You know, like we should have
It's
all
not
of this
boring, for one. It's probably
with
the
bad
greatest
singing. I want
musical of
all
all
of that.
time.
But that we should just all like we should all have a dumb, like a Riverdale. I want the version of that for, for people people of color. Like I want all of us to have all of these things, but it feels like we're not all afforded that,
Yeah.
But Moonlight's a great fucking movie, so.
Yeah, go watch it if you haven't seen it, please.
And it takes, please, because also supporting movies like this and movies like the one we talked about before, Disclosure, just movies that have different viewpoints that are not your own. It's so important to watch those and to, like, when they come to theaters, to go buy a ticket to them, because you need to support. Like, it is embarrassing that we don't have these stories, but it's not the fault of Black filmmakers, because they're not getting the opportunities. And the only way to do that is to show Hollywood that we do want to watch every single movie that Jordan Peele comes out with, or every single movie that, like all these different directors of different backgrounds are coming out with. Because like this movie is so personal, because it's made by two people that went to their hometown to make these movies, like it, like The Farewell, or just all these movies that are amazing that people need to support, to like show people that people are going and showing up for these movies,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel ya.
All right, Anthony. Any final thoughts?
I said my piece.
I don't need to. Jaytee put it perfectly. But yeah.
I don't know. Black lives matter. Black voices matter.
Always.
Queer lives matter. Black trans lives matter. Happy Pride, and Juneteenth just passed, so happy Juneteenth.
Oh yeah.
Straight up.
All right, before we end, Anthony, what's the pick for next week?
I'm gonna disappoint you, Livia.
Oh,
I'm gonna disappoint
Is it acrimony?
No. I want to watch a stupid movie. That's really funny.
Always do.
Yeah, I just want to laugh. We're gonna watch Baby Mama on Netflix.
My God, I love that movie. Have you seen that, Jaytee?
I don't think so. With who? Tina
Fey,
Okay.
Amy Poehler.
Maybe I have seen it a long time ago.
Such a good movie. I'm not disappointed. I love that movie.
Well, you hate all things funny, so I thought you would hate this.
No, I love it. I wanted to make Sebastian watch it, but I made him watch Just Friends. He's never seen Just Friends before.
I've never even heard of Just Friends before.
Kayla hates Just Friends.
What?
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
God.
I don't know.
All right. Wait, Baby Mama, was it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
All right.
Watch
Baby Mama for next time. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Just like, I feel like we've been ending every episode saying, just like, pay attention, to what's happening. There's still work to do. Like Jaytee was saying, Black Lives Matter, but it's not a trend. So don't just like sign a petition and move on. Like, there's still work to do. There's still a lot of work to do. So pay attention. I don't remember what episode it was, but we still have those resources. But like, all you have to do is literally scroll through Twitter if you follow the right people, and you'll find shit. So
Literally, that Google Doc was dope. Big fan of that. That was the resources thing.
Oh, I found that from somebody. But like,
yeah, big fan of that.
All Anthony and I had to do to find those was just scroll through Twitter. So like, you just gotta follow the right people. You gotta search stuff. You gotta educate yourself. Yeah. Also, wear a mask.
Yeah.
Wear a fucking mask, please.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you, Jaytee, for coming on.
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry.
No problem. This was fun.
All right.
Bye.